We'll go to ground zero of the hurricane and speak to a grassroots organizer, Kathleen Johnson. We'll visit the new Library of Congress Visitor Center in this episode. On Web Tips, we will go green with a site that delivers green vacations. Now on to our first stop. So in our Author's Corner, we had the opportunity to sit down with Patricia Schultz, the author of 1,000 Places to See Before You Die, and get from her what some of her favorite places were to see.
It makes you a better person. It can't not make you a better person. As long as you are open and curious and interested, as long as you go anywhere, whether it's New York City or Patagonia or the Masai Mara in Africa, as long as you go with respect and you go with an open mind and you're respectful that you are the foreigner in someone else's home, then the experience, and sometimes it is profound, whether it's in that moment or you understand in retrospect, it does change you. I don't think it can't do anything less than that. And Einstein once said that, when you expand your mind, I'm far less articulate than his quote is, I'm sure, that you never quite revert or regress back to what you were before the expansion happens. And it's that way, I think, with travel. Kind of opens you up and it keeps you open. And then it opens you some more. And then some more.
No,
and it never
true.
stops, because you'll never be able to say you've seen it all and done it all. Never, ever. Even if I were to write yet another 1,000 places, you can never say that it's all been done or seen or experienced.
That's true. So why don't we talk a little bit about the home exchange some more?
Yeah, it's interesting, I think, to explore this idea of doing more than just the inn or the hotel or the pension, etc., because there are a lot of these websites. If you're to Google, homeexchange.com, for example, is one of dozens, where if you live in a relatively central or semi-urban or desirable setup situation in the country with the beautiful farmhouse from the 19th century, or a one-bedroom condominium near Capitol Hill in Washington, or I live in the middle of Times Square, which some people find desirable. To be able to exchange that for an apartment in the middle of Buenos Aires, or a farmhouse in Provence, or imagine an old converted Casa Colonica, they're called, in Chianti, an old farmhouse in Tuscany. You can do that, and it's quite, as long as you're thorough, as long as the organization is reliable, and as long as you do your homework. But it's a great way, it's zero cost, both parties are generally very happy, and you live as a local, and I think that's the most important thing. You kind of blend into the day-to-day lifestyle of the folks in the village or in the city or in the neighborhood, and that's an invaluable experience.
It is, and to me it sounds like a great way to get completely inundated with the culture, the language, just the traditions, rather than, for a lot of people, if they were to do their typical sightseeing, see the normal places.
Or stay in, a Sheraton or an international chain where you kind of wake up and it's a pinch me, where am I? What city am I? Is this Phoenix or is it Paris? It's hard to tell.
Well, I tell you, it's been a pleasure to meet you.
Thank
you very much for talking to me. I mean, again, 1,000 places to die before, 1,000 places to see before you die. The worldwide edition back in 2003, the North America in 2007, as well as her website, 1,000 places beforeyouDie.com. Is that correct? Patricia Schultz.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Travel Television. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
This is
It's
Kevin
been my
Mayberry.
pleasure.
This is Kevin Mayberry. Thanks very much. Katrina Relief of Hancock serves the sometimes forgotten residents of the southernmost counties of Mississippi. So many people lost their homes, their businesses, schools, places of worship. All the basics of day-to-day life were literally blown away by Hurricane Katrina. Waveland and Bay St. Louis were ground zero for the hurricane. The Bay Bridge on Route 90 was the connection between these communities and the mainland, but that connection was cut off after the hurricane. A most unlikely hero surfaced and remained steadfast to the people of this community. A transported Australian opened her home to those needing shelter and has not stopped helping those in need for over 3 years since. Her project, Katrina Relief, helps those homeowners and residents throughout the county. This woman is a force to be reckoned with, and even a hurricane cannot top the power of Kathleen Johnson. We'll meet her and find out how her organization has changed the lives of volunteers and survivors in Mississippi.
The volunteers provide a variety of services here. The first thing they do is the first thing they provided was the gutting of the houses. Then we came along and we started to do the refurbishing of the houses. And now we're finding more and more that we're into new construction. And not only that, but the volunteers also fill the gaps in social services. They fill a gap in providing needs for daily maintenance of the people here, because they're so tired that we find that we are out there mowing the lawns, we're running them to doctor's appointments, we're filling in the gaps, trying to find help for them to get their cars fixed, and services that normally would be provided by the community, but the community doesn't have the infrastructure to provide that support right now. So we're running the whole gamut. If there's something wrong and you need some help and you can't afford to pay for it, then they're welcome to walk in our door and we'll try and find a solution. We don't always do the work, but we might know where that resource is. The volunteers mostly come through my website, up online, and word of mouth, because we try, when the volunteers come down here, we try to make sure that it's an experience that is a fulfilling experience and that they've worked hard and made a sincere contribution while they're here. There is no sitting around and waiting for work to come in the door when they come to volunteer with us from 8 o'clock in the morning until whenever they want to stop at night. There's work there in front of them, and they can keep working at their skill level at something that they're comfortable doing a job like this out here today. The volunteers are desperately needed, even more than they were after Katrina, and our website is reliefvolunteers.com, and if they'll go in there and look down on the left-hand side, there's a contact us button, and just give us a call and we'll be glad to get them booked in. We need unskilled and skilled volunteers both, and more importantly, we need office workers and case managers that can come down here and help us write the grants so that we can get the funds to do the work like we're doing today.
To see volunteer stories, go to www.projectkatrinavolunteers.net.
Many people spend days and even weeks planning their perfect vacation or business trip, but forget to think about airport parking before they fly. That's when they get slammed with high fees or can't find a convenient spot at all. To make sure this doesn't happen to you, research your options beforehand at simplyparking.com. Simply Parking lets you compare more than 180 U.S. airport parking lots at 64 airports nationwide. On this user-friendly website, you can book the first day to guarantee your parking space, then pay the remainder as you exit the parking lot. Simply Parking also offers customer reviews and ratings for many of the major airport parking services. So get parking situated and have one less thing to worry about when you travel by signing on to simplyparking.com.
Here's a trip to the library unlike any you've ever taken or ever imagined before. The Library of Congress goes virtual as it welcomes visitors to its new features and exhibits. Dubbed the Library of Congress Experience, the institution invites the public to share in its state-of-the-art technology, putting the entire collection at visitors' fingertips. The library's new experience boasts 4 exhibits and features: the art and architecture of the Thomas Jefferson Building, exploring the early Americas, creating the United States, and Thomas Jefferson's Library. So grab your library passport and follow us through the new Library of Congress.
This is the $5 Confederate bill found in Abraham Lincoln's pockets on the night that he was assassinated.
These are the founding documents for the NAACP. This is the original yellow ribbon that was tied around the old oak tree during the Iran hostage crisis.
This is the sneeze that launched 1,000 film careers.
And you'll find them all here at the Library of Congress.
Welcome to the Library of Congress. Although the Library of Congress was originally founded in 1800 as a small research library, today it's an experience. We're here in the Jefferson Building, where you will find that it's not just a library. With great exhibits such as the collection of Bibles, you can virtually flip through the pages of the giant Bible of Mainz at the last large handwritten book, and the Gutenberg Bible, the first printed book, along with 16 other Bibles from the library. The Thomas Jefferson Library includes books from his personal collection across a vast spectrum of languages and topics. We're here with Matt Raymond, the Director of Communications for the Library of Congress, and I hear you're spearheading the advancement of technology here at the library. Could you tell us a little bit about where it's all going?
Yes, what we are surrounded by, we call the new Library of Congress experience. We have 3 wonderful exhibitions, one in particular called Creating the United States. Historian David McCullough said is the one thing you really should see in Washington, D.C.
How does this new experience change the reputation of libraries in general?
Well, libraries are dynamic places. They really are, and this is a working library. We have about 10,000 items that come into the collections here every single day. Right now we're at about 138 million items in the collections, and surprisingly to some people, I think, only about 1/4 of those are books. We have motion pictures that come in through copyright deposit. The Copyright Office is part of the Library of Congress. Manuscript division, recorded sound, geography and map, music, sheet music, the largest collection in the world. So just about any form that information can be stored in can be found here.
A place that houses more fantastic
and inspiring ideas
than any place else in the world. There are billions of words
in hundreds of languages.
There are more recordings,
photographs, and manuscripts,
more sheet music,
cartoons,
and movies,
more treasures,
stories and inspirations
that have ever been assembled
in one location.
The Library of Congress Jefferson Building is directly across from the Capitol Building. In December 2008, the Visitor Center will open, allowing a direct path to the Jefferson Building, giving visitors an opportunity to have direct access to the Library of Congress experience.
When the Capitol Visitor Center opens up across First Street from us, there will be an underground tunnel that will connect our building with the Capitol. That's the first time that the library will be once again physically reunited, you could say, with the Congress since we moved across the street into our own building in 1897. So we're estimating that our visitorship will probably double or triple. It's about 1.4 million now. We think that'll be about 3 or 4 million after the CVC, as they call it, opens in early December.
How can the typical visitor take this experience home with them?
Well, when you come into the Library of Congress, you will be able to interact with all of these items, and you can also do it at home on the website myloc.gov. Now, what's new coming up for us in December is that we're going to have something we call a passport to knowledge. You'll come into the library and it'll have a unique barcode on it, and if there's an item that you're interested in, if there's an exhibit that you're interested in, you just dock that passport and it automatically creates a personalized website for you with all of the items in your collection online at myloc.gov based on that unique barcode.
Whether you are in Washington, D.C., at home, or in a classroom, let the Library of Congress take you on a unique and personal journey through history. Millions of items are waiting for you. Explore, discover, and be inspired.
The Library of Congress is here
for you to explore.
It's a true national treasure.
And it's one that's worth more
every time you use it.
So touch history.
Touch history. Touch history.
And let it change the way you see the world.
After I got married, I had, both of us were pharmacists, my husband and I, and we were the only drugstore in Waveland, and there's an apartment over the drugstore, and that's where we raised the 7 girls.
My father died when I was 12, and my youngest sister was 2.5 weeks old.
Yeah.
So Mama took over when my father died.
And so it was, you've heard the story, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it really was that way. The village did help me. If the girls were out on the beach and they were maybe with no sleeves on and the wind was coming up and it was getting cold, somebody would come by, Louise, you better go get the girls. It's getting chilly out.
The elderly people in the parish have been waiting for this day to see a groundbreaking for 3 years, you know, and we kept hoping and wishing and praying. I've been in St. Clair's Parish all of my life, for 76 years, and my parents and grandparents before me were also members of St. Clair's Parish. My grandfather and father helped build the first church that was here at St. Clair's. It was a wooden church. It was painted white. My mother and father were married in there, and so were my husband and I in 1952. We were married in this wooden church. And of course my kids, my 5 of my children, have all been baptized, received First Communion. All but one was married in that church, in St. Clair's Church. Not the wooden church, but the new brick church. So anyway, it's always been a big part of my life and my heart.
It's going to be a big relief. It's going to be so much nicer once the building is up than being in the tent. The tent's nice, but
it's a tent.
It's a tent. In the summertime, it gets rather hot.
Do you think it's going to be emotional?
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be some tears over there?
I think so. I'll probably shed some myself.
Okay.
It's somewhat of a new beginning, although I think there's been so much spirit here that it's been a continuation, but it just marks a milestone, and we'll be very happy to get back into a real church instead of a tent.
Water is a sign of life. The waters from the heaven, which hopefully we'll hold off for a few moments, give life to the earth. The waters of baptism give us eternal life. And by sprinkling water here, we say, Lord, let this sign of life, water, be a sign of our prayer that your life is going to be here among us. Because this building is just a building, unless we make it something more. An edifice for the glory of God.
Plumbers and helpers, electricians.
I'm just down here because I want to be. It was a lot of fun, and it was cool to help people.
I volunteered to help people and to show other teenagers that they can come and do this too.
This is hard work, but it's definitely worth it. We're just helping people, and it's a great experience. Everyone should do it.
Did you meet anybody new today?
Yes, I met about 8 other new kids and got their phone numbers so we can keep in touch.
Volunteers, we've had so many people come down here and help us with the cleanup. It just goes to show you there's so much more good about this country than ever is wrong with it.
So if somebody were to say to you, why bother rebuilding St. Clair?
Oh my goodness.
Why not go to Our Lady of the Gulf? Why not go to St. Anne? Why not go past Christian? Has anyone ever asked you that question?
Yes, we had a discussion with the bishop, he came and we talked about that, and that was the question: why rebuild St. Clair? And the reason to rebuild St. Clair is because it's all an integral part of our lives. It's been through generation after generation after generation. And I know people say that the place doesn't matter, but the place does matter, because the place has all the memories of the community. And like Mama was saying, just the love of the Eucharist at that church too. That's,
oh yes.
I think that means that the rebirth of the parish, rebirth of the community, and that the people who will benefit generations to come from a new church, a new multi-purpose building, will someday thank us for the vision that we're going to have for the future.
I think it's going to bring a lot of hope for people who haven't started rebuilding yet, who haven't come back yet because of the uncertainty of, you know, the community and the church and the schools. And I think once they know that their church is coming back, it's going to be a stability for them to say, okay, you know, things are getting better as far as that area goes. Maybe we should rebuild and come back, and, you know, things are starting to get back to normal. You know, and it's going to be great. You know, as far as the neighborhood, it'll make it look a lot better too. It won't look like debris anymore.
The church will be eventually built. I don't think it's going to be built in my lifetime, but my children and grandchildren will see it.
And is that important to you?
Yes, it is. Very important.
You don't have to travel to the Gulf Coast to volunteer your time and enthusiasm. You can be a virtual volunteer at traveltelevision.org. We need people to help us with our web development and maintenance. We need writers, producers, video editors, artists, and anyone who has expertise in outreach and marketing. Make a difference by volunteering with this nonprofit organization, and you'll be giving a much-needed virtual boost to the volunteers in Louisiana and Mississippi. Please email us at iwantohelp@traveltelevision.org. and we'll be happy to have your assistance.
How much green can one consumer take? Is everything green? Do companies have to prove or certify that they are really environmentally friendly and ecologically sound? There is a one-stop shopping site that has figured it all out for you. Greenstop.net is a directory of green hotels and travel companies, all accredited by the Greenstop scheme. This classification covers all the key areas to ensure holidays are genuinely beneficial to the local environment and community. For example, all hotels and travel companies on their site are graded from 1 to 3 green stops. This helps the savvy traveler make an informed and responsible choice of hotel or holiday without guilt and at a glance. The greenstop.net classification provides a clear, easily understood indication of a company's commitment to green travel issues. Visitors to the Green Stop website can sign up for news updates so that when a resort or destination turns green, they will be among the first to know. It's easier being green than we thought.
$525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments so dear, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter and strife.